Well, happy Monday, family. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Um, so, I am here in Panama City, Panama. For those of you who don't know, I moved here. I moved here in September. Wait, what is this? Yeah, I'm still getting used to these lives on TikTok, so bear with me. But so for those of you who don't know, I moved to Panama City, Panama, in September. So obviously it's December now. I didn't go home for Thanksgiving or anything like that from Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm not going home for Christmas or the New Year. I probably won't be back in the U.S. until February. But I am taking on a task starting today through Wednesday. I'm going on a fast. Now, previously, I've done fast before, but it's been more for like spiritual reasons. Well, I don't even want to say spiritual reasons. I'll say religious reasons. And a few years ago, so people don't know this either, but I'm actually an ordained evangelist. So while I was studying to become ordained, I realized that there was like no point to fasting from that standpoint, just with some stuff that I learned. And so I've kind of like stayed away from it because I'm like, hey, like if it's no real point for fasting, like why would I fast? But I'm fasting this time to go more spiritual than religious. I've been like on an ongoing mental, spiritual, emotional like transformation. And so I'm taking the fast, and I kind of like wrote out some things ahead of time that I wanted to accomplish from the fast. So, of course, that discipline to be able to not eat. The only thing that I'm doing is water and herbs. So I'll do like tea, but it's not like packaged tea. Like I'm actually getting the fresh herbs and doing my tea that way. Outside of that, there is no food. So, of course, I'm not going to be working out like I normally do. I'm going to the gym today, but the next couple of days after that, I'm going to be kind of just taking it easy, doing more yoga, meditation. But I wrote down some things that I wanted to accomplish from it. So, one of the things is mental clarity, just to have direction for my life and just without all of the noise, right? Without all of the food, without all of the distractions, just clarity for what I actually want out of life. What is my desired outcome for my life? Also, some mental clarity for certain things. Obviously, I just got up and left Atlanta and came to Panama City, Panama. Um, and so there could be some fear and some things that come from that, especially since I came to be with someone and I have a short period of time. But certain things come up with there, and there are certain fears that come up. And so I kind of want to address those fears head on and address it with a clear mind outside of emotion. A lot of times we make moves, we make decisions based on emotions and how we feel, but it's not necessarily like what it is, you know? Because emotions change and they vary. I'm reading this book now that talks about emotions and talk about how like a lot of times we make permanent decisions based off of temporary emotions, and a lot of times when we're dealing with things, it's not necessarily the event, but it's the emotions that come up, and we unconsciously obsess over certain emotions and certain things, and then we go down the rabbit hole and we add, certain thoughts. Then all of a sudden everything is triggering us, or everything is like reminding us of that thing. So kind of doing some deep diving in that, so that I can separate out what's fear versus what may be trauma or something that I need to work to heal, versus what may be something that I need to make a change in, regarding that. I'm going to give y'all all the business. And then also with some things that have been happening and then some things that I've been experiencing, I believe that I may have solar plex blockage. Okay. Solar plex chakra blockage potentially. And so, with some of the herbs that I'm going to be ingesting or adding to my water for teas, they kind of help with unblocking your solar plexus and going a little bit deeper into the solar plex blockage. I actually have something weird going on with my belly button. It's been like for over a year now, right? At first I thought it was a hernia, went to the doctor. I went to, okay, so total, I've been to the doctor, I'd say about 7 different times, right? Of those 7 different times, I've taken 4 different medications, and last week, or either the week before last, I had a penicillin shot. So first they were trying to say it was a hernia, and then after all of these tests and ultrasounds, they said, okay, it wasn't a hernia, which I already knew because 3 of the doctors had already told me that it was not a hernia. And then I had another doctor come back and try to say it was. Oh, okay, I see this. He said, what was your my reason for moving from the U.S.? Okay, I'll go back to what I was saying. But my reason for moving is, for one, I was ready for a change. So I was born and raised in Atlanta. I went to school in Ohio. When I got out of school, I said, I'm not staying in Ohio and I'm not going back to Atlanta. And I got jobs in both places. So I ended up going back to Atlanta, and I was working a corporate job there. Left my corporate job and started working for myself. So I am a internationally certified personal trainer, flexibility coach, and stretch therapist. And I do that now virtually. So I have different programs, and I'm also the CEO and founder of the Feminine and Fit brand, which it does just that, help women become more feminine and fit so that they can get their desired outcome. So when I was doing that, I went fully online thinking that I was going to make more time for my stretch therapy. Because I was going to see clients, and I made a lot more money doing that. I was making like what I was making in a month training somebody, I was making that in like an hour or 2. So I thought it was to make more time for that, but clearly it was for this. I went through a divorce a couple years ago, and so I was kind of like stuck in Atlanta, being married. You can't just get up and leave the family. And so after the divorce, I was just like, hey, like, I didn't have any kids physically. I had a stepdaughter at the time, loved her dearly. But after that, I was like, hey, it's nothing that's just holding me here. Like, my parents are here. I love them very much, but I can do whatever I want, wherever I want. And I visited Panama City, Panama. So not Florida, but I visited Panama City, Panama a couple times. And I really liked it. And I was going back and forth, traveling all over Houston, Dallas, all over doing my classes. With Ebony Fit Weekend, I've been on their roster for the last 3 years, but they always bring me to do the trap yoga class. And then I also have a yoga seduction class that I was traveling doing it. But anyway, I was everywhere. I wasn't in Atlanta. I was paying this expensive rent for this basic apartment, and I started dating this guy. The guy had moved to Panama City, Panama at the time. And things started, they kind of started getting serious a little bit. And he was just like, hey, like, I'm not coming to the U.S. Like, he was like, I'll visit, but I'm not going to live in the U.S. And he was like, hey, I want you to move with me. And he was like, if we're going to make this work, like, I want you to move. And so at that time, I was just like, I love Panama, but dang, like, I'm like, this is fresh. Like, I'm not about to get up and move. Like, what the heck? And I realized, I was like, okay, outside of him, would I want to live in Panama, right? Would I want to live in Panama City, Panama? Could I see myself living in Panama City, Panama? And the answer was like, yeah, like, I love Panama. It's beautiful. Panama City, I can see the water. Like, right now, I'm literally looking straight ahead to the water. I don't know if y'all can see that over there. But, and I was like, it's warm. I love being warm. I love Central America. And so I decided to go ahead and make the move. Of course, it was, especially after the divorce, it was some concerns, some fears from there. But I was just like, hey, things cannot work in Atlanta. So, let me not be so afraid of what if it doesn't work that I don't take the opportunity to live life, right? It's like if things don't work out, it doesn't work out. But the chance that it can, let me go ahead and take the leap. And even if it doesn't, whether it does or it doesn't work out, hey, I got the chance to live out of the country. So that's how I ended up here. It's been phenomenal so far. Of course, there's always things in relationships, but as far as being here, I have no complaints. I'm happy. There's still some things that I'm working through mentally and spiritually, which is another reason why I went ahead and took on the fast. But I'm just living life, and I'm just like, a lot of times we deal with certain fears and, the fear of humiliation or like, hey, I don't want to be embarrassed or I don't want to, and it's just like, you know what, you get one life, screw it. And well, not screw it, but live it, it's like, I'd rather take the leap and have the potential for great things to happen than to move in fear and be like, oh, well, last time, or oh, well, what if this, what if that, and never take the leap. So I've really been big about or open about sharing my experiences. I don't know if you guys have Instagram pages, go ahead and follow me on Instagram as well. It's the same exact as this one. It's Kiki Black, the @ KIKIIBLACK. A lot of my flexibility stuff is on there too, but I'm pretty open about sharing my experiences there. I don't get too much into the relationship stuff, but I do share, my partner. And I'm just allowing myself to be at a place where I am not fearing life. There's still a part of you that has to be protective of you and to make sure that you're good mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. But as far as fear for taking leaps, it's like, man, I have to do it. If you take the leap and it doesn't work, at least you did it. Don't be scared. No, I don't want to scare you. Don't be scared. And so with my partner, love him dearly. Of course, we get in relationships and we want them to last forever. Ideally, that happens, but if not, that's great too. But one thing that I can say about him is he's a very spiritual person and he adds to me. And yeah, you're right. Lost Boys. You're absolutely right. And that's another reason why I'm doing this fast. Is just kind of dissect my mental, right? Because it's easy to say, hey, I'm going to take the leap, I'm going to go for it. But when you're dealing with stuff in your head and you're having certain thoughts, even if you don't talk about it or express it, it doesn't take the fact away that they're not there. And, but anyway, what I was saying about him is we do a lot of mental and spiritual work. And we were watching this one thing, and I can't even remember who it was. But the guy said, fear is faith in evil, right? Fear is faith in evil. And I'm like, wow, that's so deep. And it's so many things that we fear, and not fear like boo fear, but like even in life, taking certain leaps, the average person, you're like, hey, move out the country, is like, what? No, like, my comfort is here in the United States, in Atlanta. Like, I have family here, I have friends here. But to take the leap, sometimes it could be hard, and even certain things like leaving a job or going after your dreams or, having a career change, especially as an adult, there's always fear attached to it. But finding a way to deal with that fear, to lose the faith in evil and find faith in the God within you, right? Because a lot of people, they talk about God and God is this and God is that. But if you really believe that God is God and you really believe that God resides in you, at what point do you have faith in the God in you, right? At what point do you start moving as if you are God? If God is in you, if he lives in you, there's a part of you that is God. Like, you were one and the same in a lot of cases. So if the, hey Cole, love you, my Coco. Y'all make sure y'all go follow Coco Chanel on Instagram as well as TikTok. It's my girl. She's a phenomenal coach. But yeah, so if you believe that God is in you and he resides in you and he lives in you, there's a certain part of you that should move as if you are a God. You know what I'm saying? Not saying, putting too much on the saying, oh, I'm a God or anything like that. But if you really believe he lives in you, it's a way that you interact in the world, a way that you move, a way that you talk, and the way that you interact in the world that shows that. And so me in my head, I know that, but it's now I have to get to the point to where I know that, to where it's not a question. I'm not sitting battling fear or certain things. Not to say the things that won't come up, because they always do, but I'm moving in a way that I believe and I trust in the God that's in me. I trust my own decision making. And, if things don't work out, they don't work out. Life never goes exactly how you expect it to go. Like, if you would have asked me, I would have been taking care of my parents by now. Like, I said 18, we all say, by the time I get 21, I'm going to be a billionaire and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Things don't always go the way that we plan or we want them to go. However, they do always work out the way that they're supposed to work out. And so I'm really working on, with this fast, just taking life for what it is, but making sure that I'm enjoying the process, that I have my goals and my desired outcomes in my forefront, not necessarily specific, like, business goals, but my goals for life. Like, sometimes you have to ask yourself those questions, like, what do I want? Do I desire family? Do I desire to be an independent woman? What do I desire? And then just making sure that your day-to-day interactions, your day-to-day work is reflective of that. With my Feminine and Fit challenge and with the Feminine and Fit brand, I talk to women all day. I talk about working on your mind, body, and spirit all day. We talk about femininity all day. So with that being said, I have to be the evidence of that. I was saying it the other day on my live on Instagram. It's like, you can't be essentially a leader of other people and not doing even more work for yourself. I can't tell people mind, body, spirit, and then I'm over here like going through stuff and like, oh, well, what's going on? And it's like, girl, you live in paradise. Like, what do you have to be worried about? Like, you live in paradise. What are you worried about? If you really believe in the God that you serve and the God that you say lives in you, you have to learn to let life be life and stop worrying about the what ifs. Enjoy the process and be grateful. So that's another thing I've been working on too, is just practicing gratitude. Not only just waking up and being like, God, thank you for waking me up, but like expressing gratitude vocally, expressing gratitude through my actions and everything else. Let me see. Yep, exactly. There goes. Yeah. But yeah, it's really important to know what you want, because if you don't know what you want, then you're just kind of moving in the world, just moving. You have no direction. You'll never reach a goal if you don't know what the goal is, if you have no direction. And so that's where I am now. I'm blessed to be in a space to where I work for myself. I have the flexibility to say, hey, I'm going to take out time and I'm going to meditate 3 times a day. I'm going to do my affirmation 7 times a day. So yesterday and the days leading up to the fast, I did all of that. I wrote out everything in detail, what I want to get from my personal fast. Okay. So like I told you guys earlier, I was doing fast as it relates to religion and stuff before. After doing some studying, I'm like, okay, there's no real reason to fast. When I was studying to become evangelist, as far as it goes to church and God and things like that, but on a different level, on a different spiritual level, just for clarity and to take out all of the distractions. So I'm excited. I wish I could have had my last meal last night. I had some food at a friend's house and I just tasted it, but I put it to the side and I said that I was going to eat it when I got home. We went upstairs. By the time I came back, I'm pretty sure his cats got it and dragged it somewhere, but we couldn't find the food. So I didn't eat last night. So I'm going in, but doing a whole lot of writing, and I'm learning that that's important too, is just to make sure that you write down your thoughts. And even in the meditation, so I did my meditation this morning. I'm going to do it again later. I'm going to do it at least twice a day for the next 3 days. But when we try to clear our mind and we try to find that place where our brain is just empty, there's always thoughts that come and like pop in your head, and you're like, wait, get that out. Focus back on your breathing or the sound or whatever you're meditating with, or using as your focal point for meditation. And our friend last night, he's an older guy, he's in his 50s, but he was saying the things that pop in your head when you're trying to clear your mind, those are important too, because it lets you know what's going on in your head. A lot of time in our day-to-day, we're doing this and we're doing that and we're going here and all of this, and we have these thoughts, but because so much is going on, we never really fully process what's happening. And so those thoughts that come in, I was very intentional about writing them down. So when I do my journaling, I can go deeper and be like, hey, why did I have this thought? Is there something inside of me that still needs healing, or that still needs work, or still needs to be digested more, or maybe it's something from way back when that I need to go through. But just making sure I'm writing down those thoughts and taking the time to journal, to pray on those things, and to meditate specifically on those things even more to get understanding. 3 days is a short amount of time. I'm saying that now, but tomorrow when I'm hungry, I might be feeling like, what the heck? But 3 days is a short amount of time, but we're doing 3 days this time. In January, we're going to move to 7 days. And then February is 15. We're skipping March. And then April, we're going to try to do a 21 day fast. Let me look at some of these comments, y'all. My Coco. Lost Boys, I was with you for a second, but I don't know what you mean there. Good morning. What's the vibrations? What do you mean, what's the vibrations? The vibrations as far as what I'm listening to during meditation, or what do you mean there? Change is good. Never get comfortable. Yeah. Anytime you're changing and you're growing, it's always uncomfortable. But I'd rather take the uncomfortableness and growth above being stagnant and content, right? Everybody like wants to be somebody, right? They want to feel important, they want to feel needed and everything, but most people aren't willing to put in the work mentally, spiritually, physically, or emotionally to get to their goal, right? Even when it comes to being in the fitness industry, most people want to look great. They want a nice body. But the reality is most people aren't willing to put in the work to have the body and the physical attributes that they desire. Nothing against anybody who does plastic surgery or anything like that. You do what you do. I could care less. However, I will say this. Anytime somebody gets plastic surgery, they still have to come back to the basics. You still end up having to exercise, right? And so it's the same thing with this. It's like there's no way around it. You can even find ways to block out whatever the problem is, or not even going to say problem, because it's always going to be stuff. And it doesn't mean that something is wrong. It just means that you're doing the work to be better, right? But you can block it out. You can find things to cover it up. But until you take the time to do the work to fully digest your mental, your spiritual, your emotional, and be consistent and intentional about the work that you're doing, you can't be better. And it's a lot of average people, right? It's a lot of people that are fine. They do their day-to-day and they're cool. I don't think of myself as an average person. So if I don't think of myself as an average person, I know that it's going to require a little bit more work than it would. I know it's going to require some tough days. I know it's going to require me realizing some stuff about me that I maybe don't want to. With the Feminine and Fit challenges that I do, we have some deep conversations, and I always give the disclaimer like, hey, we're going to talk about stuff. It might be some stuff that ruffles your feathers. All I ask is that you open up your mind and your heart to the information and be able to say, hey, I don't have any kids, so this isn't me saying this about myself, but I always give the example. People are like, oh, my baby daddy is this, and that. And it's like, okay, it's easy to play the blame game, but let's take a step back. Let's do some self dissection. Could you have made better decisions? Did you go into a situation moving from fully emotion? Did you make the best choices? And sometimes, like, seeing you, even when you have emotional attachment there, is hard, but it's necessary. But anyway, I'm gonna get off of here and get some work done, because I'm about to do my next meditation in a couple hours. But I'll be back on tomorrow to let you guys know my update for my day 2 of the fast, as well as just keeping you guys in the loop. If you haven't already, make sure you're following me on Instagram as well. So I'm on Instagram. It's the same hashtag. It's at KIKIIBLACK. Again, that's KIKIIBLACK, and it's the same thing on YouTube. I'm going to be putting a lot more on YouTube as well, just talking about my journey from moving from Atlanta, Georgia, all the way across the world to Panama City, Panama. So stay tuned. Love you guys. Have a phenomenal day. Goodbye. Now, how do I stop this thing?